So, well, with us coming out of the pandemic, fingers crossed. I like the optimism that's in the air. It's such a refreshing change from where we were this time last year. I will take it. Um, in fact, I just went to the movies for the first time in a year and a half. Mask on, fully vaccinated.
What
Went
did
to
you
a
see?
3:30 matinee. It was only three or four other people in the auditorium. Saw The Quiet Place too.
How was it?
Oh, it was wonderful. If you love the Quiet Place one, it's the same kind of tongue in cheek. We know we're having fun with the monsters, and they're going to chase people around, which perfect. And I've got a 7-year-old here at home, and so everything I've watched for the last year and a half, when I've watched things, has been in 5 to 10 minute snippets of we need to do this or we need to go do a half hour of this, and now okay, he's in bed, it's finally time for me to watch something, and I'm asleep. So to go and sit and watch something from beginning to end, just unbelievable bliss.
That's fair. Yeah, I still haven't seen A Quiet Place 1.
Oh, and you have two wonderful experiences at
I
that.
do. I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm up in Seattle. I love horror movies. I don't like to watch them alone. And I have a horror movie buddy. Their name is Chris, and I adore them. And they moved from the Bay Area up to be here in Seattle with me just as everything was starting to go to heck. So there is so much stress and turmoil and fear for them in the real world that they don't want to watch horror movies right now. I've managed to get them to watch, I think, one movie I would really call a horror movie in the last year, and that was Army of the Dead. So it's sad, and I try not to yell at them too much about it, because it's not fair. You are where you are emotionally at any given time. It's not their fault that they are not really up for mutilations and all of that, but
Different strokes for different folks. I find that the more stress I'm under, the more I love a horror movie, because my problem's comparative to trying to get through Las Vegas flooded with zombies.
exactly. COVID started, I reread The Stand.
Me too, and I had 90% certain I had COVID. It was right at the start of quarantine in March, and I'm reading The Stand, and I'm sniffing, and I'm like, oh, my lungs are feeling a little tight. That book has never been more terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
How many? I know you've read it 50 times.
About that, yeah.
Is that your favorite Stephen King novel?
No.
What's the favorite?
It.
Me too.
And I have discovered a new circle of hell, which is having your favorite book since childhood become a massive media phenomenon. They have toys in Hot Topic. Everyone gets your It references. Suddenly the book you've loved your whole life is topical and you hate the movies. Like, that is a level of suffering I never anticipated. But unfortunately, I really love it, and I don't understand how you misunderstand members of the core cast that dramatically. Beverly is a gunslinger. She is not a damsel. She does not shoot with her eyes. She shoots with her hand. She has not forgotten the face of her father, and she did not need to be actively sexually assaulted to be under threat. Nor did they need to turn her into a damsel to make the ending of movie number 1 fall together. It just made no sense.
I agree. I thought the first movie wasn't my It, but that's okay. There was enough modernization that it was still fun. It reminded me of the book that I loved and reread every 3 years or so. And then the second movie was just, aside from Richie being gay, which I thought was a pretty ingenious change. Like, oh yeah, if King wrote that today, that's obviously what you would do with that character. That was glaringly missing from the 80s version. But other than that, it's like, did you read the book first?
Yeah. Did they have to take Ben's personality away and give it to Mike in order to justify lessening the racism? How does that work? If Bev's still going to be your only girl, do you really have to reduce her to the Princess Peach who needs to be saved from the castle? They just made so many choices that, to me, showed a fundamental lack of understanding of who the characters were. But also, the turtle could not help that movie.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was the Transformers of horror movies because you could see the budget had increased exponentially over the first one, and like, oh,
Mhm.
we have the money to do everything, so let's just do everything, and then nothing really has purpose or meaning. You didn't pick something essential to focus on.
Yep.
Oh well, they'll remake it again, hopefully, eventually, and if they don't, the book's still there. It's great.
Still there. It is great. It is. I have a relationship with it that I don't think I can ever have with another book.
Why is that, you think?
Because the first time I read it, I was younger than the members of the Losers Club, and now I am older than the members of the Losers Club. So I have been rereading it at least once a year, every year since I was 8 years old. I have grown up with this book. I have found something new in this book every time through. The last time the circle came around, the last time it should have woken up, my friend Kat Valenti and I actually took a pilgrimage to Bangor, and we wandered around and we saw all of the locations from the book. Went and did our little main thing. And that was amazing.
Were you especially creeped out by any particular site, or was it just
The standpipe was so
fan?
much bigger than I thought it would be. We don't have those on the West Coast. The standpipe was just horrifying in its size. And that really was it for me.